Tom is my name. I'm 56 years old, and my soon-to-be 50-year-old ex-wife, Susan, was also a friend with benefits. When she spoke up to destroy our marriage, it was a beautiful Sunday morning. "Tom, we really need to talk," she said. I said, "Okay, go ahead, my love." "The kids have left, and there is nothing left in my life," she said. Being who I am, I laughed and said, "Yes, there is. Nothing to do but enjoy some sex." With a wince, she waved her hands before revealing her shocking plan. "I want to go out and explore my life. At your age, no one is going to hire you for a proper job. If you so choose, you can still choose to be an outdated model." I said, "I can make some calls for you." I later changed my mind and said, "No, I want to date other people." She retaliated by shooting, "So, in short, you want to cheat on me?" "It's not cheating if you're informed ahead of time," I replied. "You're right, but that would still be breaking our vows and committing a sin," she said. "I'm not a lecturer, and I mean it." "Thus, you'd better stop making jokes," she yelled. I stopped talking. "I have never considered sharing a bed with anyone else but you, not that I haven't had the chance." At last, I said, "I picked my wife over everyone else." Now it was her turn to be quiet, if only briefly. "I'm going on a date tonight, and you won't stop me. You are the only one who can stop yourself. Let me just remind you that your spouse has supported you since your marriage 12 years ago," I said, clearly hurting myself. I turned to leave the room. She said she spent the evening out. I just got wasted after downing a full bottle of Jack Daniels. She was beaming the following morning, and I was inconsolable. She approached and said she had made a new friend. Clive is his name. I went to the restroom and threw up in the seat. My spouse hurried over to check on me. "Indeed, my dear." I answered, "I'm just throwing the last of my love for you down the toilet." After giving myself a facial wash, I lay down on my bed. "This is the last time, Susan. Please think again before making your decisions and avoid taking the route that could cause us great suffering. He has a great job, a great body, and he is better in bed than you. I will never let go of him. Okay, get ready for the streets if you decide to file for divorce from me. Take it or leave it, I'll wipe you clean," she said. She approached me and assured me that everything that is going on will benefit our marriage in the long run. "Go, my ass." "Long run?" I whispered, "You just ruined your marriage by sleeping with another man." I just lay there with my eyes closed. "Live with it, we're going to meet tonight," she said as she left the room. She dressed to kill that night and left, waving goodbye to me before getting into her car. There I was, broken and alone. After hobbling back to my room, I unlocked my safe and extracted my SIG pistol. I closed my eyes and held it to my head. I struggled for 5 minutes, breathing heavily, sweating, and then I looked up at the mirror next to my bed and just stared at it. I observed a man who was defeated. "Tom, is that you?" I asked to myself. My handgun was held up to the mirror, and I muttered, "Bang." I turned in for the night. Things were not the same the following morning. My spouse wasn't home just yet. After making a satisfying breakfast and getting my coffee, I headed to the closest gym to sign up. After 2 hours, I came home to find my wife asleep in our bed. I took a bath in the bathroom after making the decision not to wake her. After gathering my fishing supplies and grabbing a 6-pack of beer, I headed to the river to go fishing. My mind was working non-stop, trying to figure out how to get even with my wife. I thought about drowning her in the river, blowing up her car with her in it, even planning to strangle her in her sleep. I rejected all these plans. 12 years of marriage is not worth a lifetime in prison. Divorce would be costly. I don't want to give her any money in alimony or settlements. I decided to just wait, observe, and act. A few days passed. I slept in the same bed as my wife, but refused to have sex with her. Just around Christmas, she came up and said that she would be spending Christmas with Clive and would be out for the weekend. "Why don't you go out for the entire week?" she suggested. She looked at me. How will you spend Christmas? I told her that maybe I'll find someone like you have found someone, I replied. She was happy and gave me a hug. I felt disgusted and pretended to be happy. She left in the morning, and I enacted my plan. Since she had no interest in what was happening to our house, she had no clue that the house was in the market to be put on rent that same day. When she left, I had closed the deal with the new tenant. Since I hold the deed to the house, I did not need my wife to sign anywhere. I had rented a condo in the heart of the city with an exquisite view. A week later, when my wife came back, she was in for a big shock. Her house was gone, and she was on the street. I had asked the new tenants to give her my address. Soon enough, she was at my door. "Why did you rent out our house?" she screamed. "The house has no meaning. Look at this condo, all new and smart. You can live here for one night and then go back to Clive," I replied. "What do you mean?" "I mean that you guys should enjoy and spend more time with each other." I also told her that the entire rent from our house goes to pay for this condo, I explained. She stayed the night and left in the morning, off to deal with Clive. I had to make a few phone calls and found out about his job and his family. I did not want to ruin his family, I just wanted to wreck him. After a few more phone calls, I made sure that he would be out of his job in the next 3 months. I installed a dating app and started my new life. Now, my wife will be with me only one day of the week, and the rest of the week I can enjoy my life. No divorce, no alimony, and I can still use my wife for sex. 3 months later, she was back at the condo and was looking visibly upset. "Talk away, sweetheart," I smiled back at my wife of 12 years. "You know I'm always here for you." "It's not good enough, Tom," she went on, frowning at me. "It's not working out as I expected. I'm not happy, but you've got what you wanted, haven't you, Susan?" I pointed out to her. "It was you who told me in no certain terms that you wouldn't give your lover up and that you intended to keep on seeing him. Take it or leave it, you told me. Take it or leave it." "I know," she mumbled, looking very unhappy. "But I just didn't expect you to agree so easily. I thought. Oh damn it, I didn't know what I thought." "You were quite clear at the time, Susan," I reminded her. "I recall the conversation like it was yesterday. I've been seeing, as you described it, that bastard Clive since last Christmas. He does me better than you do, and I'm going to spend this weekend and regular weekends with him." "Not better, just different," Susan grunted, unable to meet my glare. "I really meant that we'd carry on more or less as usual, but I'd spend my weekends, or at least some of them, at Clive's place," I interjected. "Well, yes," she whined, wringing her hands together, "but that would be all, and the rest of the time I'd be living with you like normal." So, I agreed. I grinned at her. "Take it or leave it," you said. So, I didn't have an option. So now what's the problem? It was just supposed to be weekends, Tom. So I was generous, sweetheart, I relished telling her. You wanted weekends, and I gave you most of the week as well. You didn't complain at the time. You didn't tell me at the time, Susan claimed, quite correctly as it happened. I went on that 2-week holiday with Clive, and when I came back, you'd rented out our house and moved into this swish apartment. Yes, fabulous, isn't it? Graciously, I smiled as I took in the view of the cityscape and the river meandering off into the distance through the picture windows. I'd quite carefully explained to Susan on several occasions that all the rent from our house only just covered the rent on my new boat, but I only get to stay here one night a week, Tom. Susan broke down. It's just not as I imagined it. You don't enjoy the sex, Susan? I put on my biggest disappointed face and demanded. She gushed, "Of course, I do, honey. You already know that it's better than it has ever been. After losing his job and getting beaten up that evening, Clive just doesn't seem to be able to handle life anymore. It's simply insufficient." "Oh, he was assaulted?" "Why someone would harm him in that way escapes me." "That's terrible, my love," I hurried to comfort her, telling myself that it is impossible to screw my wife and get away with it unscathed. If you need another night with me, then I could always ask Jane if she could give Wednesdays a miss from time to time. That's not what I damn well want, Tom. Then, what about Fridays? Mary might switch places with Nikki or even go double up with her. My wife broke down in tears and said, "It's not like I just want Fridays, for God's sake, Tom. I desire your return. Karen will return to college the following week." Susan, still, I continued, trying to figure out how to solve our small issue. Would Saturday afternoons be any better? Tom, for heaven's sake, you are my spouse. I want you back in my life because I love you. Please allow me to demonstrate it to you. You've heard my offer, Susan, I said sternly. I sincerely love sleeping with you once a week or so now that we're more of friends with benefits than a married couple. Compared to the younger girl I've been seeing since you left, it's a welcome change. All I have to say is that you've heard my offer. There's only one more thing. What's that, honey? Susan asked, her bright smile reaching up to me in hopes. Take it or leave it, I said with a smile. Take it or leave it. If you've made it this far, listener, please click the subscribe button. It will be very beneficial.